onto the dairy industry, because I know it's something that you feel a bit about. And in New Zealand, the dairy industry is seen as one of sort of the golden boys of agriculture. But they're moved into very intensive farming systems with very high reliance on fertiliser, particularly nitrogen. What's your view of the sustainability and the long-term benefits to that sort of style of farming?
Well, it's very high risk, like you say. The use of nitrogen, in my opinion, isn't even as professional as it really should be, because just going backwards, in some respects there, the base FERT programs that people use to grow grass in the first instance I don't think are as professional as they could be, and so consequently when you use nitrogen on top of that, you're actually not getting, to my mind, the full effect or efficiency that you want from it. So even then you'd say not the full value. So, you know, I don't have a problem with nitrogen use, but I actually am firmly of the opinion we could farm without it. And that relies on going back to basics, which is in a pasture situation having your two major species being grasses and clovers. And in that instance your clovers need to be growing, functioning, fixing nitrogen, and in fact providing nitrogen through the system. And that is, I believe, sustainable, but it requires people to not run intensive farming systems, meaning livestock numbers. Dropping
numbers back slightly.
Letting to account for the resources to be able to cope.
And so the reason that that's been going on is to try and increase their production by carrying more animals and getting more production per head. But they sort of start chasing your tail after a while, is what you're trying to tell us.
You're getting to the point where you're really putting the resources at their limits, and when you get climatic fluctuation, it really undermines the ability of those resources to provide. And
like we've seen this year.
Resources on farm.
So and how do you see dairying here differing from what you're seeing happening in the dairy industry in Australia?
There's been a lot of growth. The focus here is definitely on capital growth as opposed to profitable production with capital growth. So you have the two factors. Profit really doesn't even come into the conversation anymore, which I think is quite dangerous, because if in fact capital growth slows or stops, you've actually got nothing on this side of the equation to fall back to.
You're using
which I think is very high risk.
And what's happening here is there an animal welfare cost to that style of farming?
Yes.
When you get it is.
Yes. In my opinion, there is. You're getting animals that are not producing near their genetic potential. So from that point of view, animal health issues like metabolic reasons, issues and dietary reasons and things are within reason fine. People manage that by drying off early or culling. But it isn't really allowing them to exploit their opportunity for the cow numbers calved down and milked through. They're really not getting the value of production out of the cow, because the resources aren't actually there in the system throughout the entire lactation.
And this problem's not unique to New Zealand, it's Australia, it's endemic in Australia.
And it comes from intensification. So if it's more cows per hectare, or it's a bigger number of cows at the same rate per hectare, the big herds suffer from inefficiencies.
But you haven't got the problems we've got with the emission trading we're looking at?
Not yet. No. It's not really on the table at a business level. I mean, it's talked about perhaps at a parliamentary level, but really it's nothing like what you hear here or
we were looking
in New
at
Zealand, where people talk about it
3 to 4 years away.
You know, we don't have a lot of understanding of it just yet.
Well, my situation here would be I'd be putting a compass in my farm, a square farm, doing a circle. Everything not in that circle would have to be planted in trees. And we don't know what sort of trees, we don't know anything about it. We just know that we're going to have a big drop in our production as we move into that. We can use trees obviously to a degree to try and increase our production with windbreaks, but that's not really been, they're actually talking about totally retiring into proper bush.
One wonders whether that in fact good use of a resource. Trees. I mean, trees do have an economic value, but pastures, shrubs, whether they're grapevines or any of the other plants that we grow, actually all contribute to that cycle.
Well, we're just really
why trees should actually be given all the credence.
And we're just part of a big experiment. And we're paying for it, and we're going to try it out.
It seems at this stage it's a little bit premature.
Certainly feels it. Hey, well, thank you. We'll make you stop it and we'll start again in a second.